Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vivian Bird, esteemed librarian at the Los Angeles Public Library, and I'm also a neighborhood scientist. Welcome to our very special neighborhood science program. Here with us today is Mr. Joakim Odelberg. He is one of the most respected conservation photographers and underwater filmmakers in Sweden. But his work and efforts in wildlife and aquatic conservation have reached far beyond Sweden. He's traveled around the world and documented some of the most endangered and unique species on our planet Earth through his lens. He's worked alongside Dr. Sylvia Earle of Mission Blue and a good friend of Sir David Attenborough. His photos and films have been the voices for our planet and important resources for scientists, educators, environmentalists, and researchers worldwide. His work was also exhibited in the United Nations headquarters in New York during the Ocean Conference in 2017. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Odelberg. Is it okay for me to call you Joakim or Joa?
You can call me whatever suits you the best. You can call me Joa if that's easier.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. So I'll call you
Thank
Joa.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to start asking you some questions, something I have been really curious about. What is your background? Are you a professional scientist or a marine biologist?
Actually, my background is in music. I studied classical music with vocal as my first choice of instrument. But the ocean has been, I was brought up by the ocean. And I took my first diving certificate when I was 10 years old. But then I went into music. And I had the diving on the side as a, as a thing to do on the side, and also photography and film. That I always been interested in that. And I went to Southeast Asia 2000, and I think it was 2006, and I had my first encounter with the manta ray. These giant rays that can be 9 meters between wingspans, and they weigh up to 2,000 kilos. They have the biggest brain of all fish. They're very gentle, they're social, and they're very curious. So if you're lucky, a manta ray can stay with you for a whole time, and that's what's happened to me. And that totally changed my whole attitude towards the ocean. And I fell in love then and there. And when we came up in the boat, I was totally super happy. And there was a guy there, he opened up a beer can and he knocked the beer can and just threw it over his shoulder into the sea. And I reacted really strongly to that. And I was really wondering, how can you do this? When we had this encounter now and you do that, you throw garbage in the ocean. And after that, actually, then and there, he changed my life. So then and there, I took a decision to just take a turn in my life and work in conservation. I wanted to try to change people's attitudes, raise awareness, and create opinion. And it was also there I realized the power of a photo or a film, that how that can change people. So thanks to that guy, actually, I changed path in life. I don't know what I don't know what I've done now though, if that wouldn't happen. So yeah.
What do you love the most about your job being a conservation photographer or underwater filmmaker?
It's so many things. But if you highlight a situation, a topic, a subject that people might not be aware about or know about, but should know about, that's my job. And my job is also to highlight the expert, the scientist work in field. I'm there working side by side to them. And I think being in all these, locations I've been to, meeting, of course, different species and endangered species and nature areas, but also people working in conservation, people that actually, on a daily basis, every day they wake up and they go to work and they do it with, they're risking their own life. And those are the real nature heroes that should be really celebrated and highlighted in their work, because they are the most important people we have preserving this planet.
I agree with you 100%. Now, would you mind sharing with us, I know you've done so many preservation and conservation projects. Would you mind sharing with us some of the conservation projects that you have worked on?
Oh, yes. Just verbally now here, I can talk about the two latest one, were the three latest one. One thing that's really, really close to my heart is the guy looking down on me. That's the mountain gorilla projects that I've been working on since actually 2016. We started to document the mountain gorilla survey, and that was ongoing in different phases till now, early 2019. In that it's so different because it's constant. It's on high altitude. It's cold, and it's rainy, and it's really tricky. It's wild elephants in forest, buffaloes. You have poachers. You have rebels. So it's very tricky, and you can't talk about mountain gorillas without mentioning Diane Fossey and what she did to mountain gorillas, because I think it's thanks to her that we have mountain gorillas today. And when she left, or sadly got killed in the mid-80s, the estimated population on mountain gorillas within the Virunga Massif and Windy, the Impenetrable National Park, were 250 individuals, and that's hardly any. And they were on the brink to extinction. And today, thanks to hard conservation work, rangers, and also the communities, where you manage to create a circle economy, where the gorillas they are in the center of that circle economy. So for every gorilla visit you pay for, $500 in Uganda, in Burundi, 30% goes back to community, to healthcare, to education, and to clean water. So they start now to understand that gorillas are much more valuable alive than dead as trophies or poached. And now they managed to change a negative trend to a positive trend. So now when the survey is finished and they managed to count the gorillas. And when you do that, I have to tell you this as well, when you do count gorillas, it's not like you walk in the forest counting individuals. It's super hard terrain. It's muddy, it's wet, it's slippery. And the threats I talked about, where you can run into wild elephants or buffaloes, it can be dangerous. And you stay out in very portable camps. It's really simple. And you stay there for 2 weeks, and then you swap team, and then you do a grid pattern search with a GPS, and you look for feces. So basically what you do is looking for gorilla poop, and that's what you're actually collecting. So that it's not so
glamorous.
No. So you're looking for gorilla poop, and that gorilla poop, because a gorilla, they build a nest every evening, and they go to bed and they sleep there, and every morning before they leave the nest, they do their business, and next evening they build a new nest. So what you do is backtracking to the nest, and you collect the feces, and in that way you also collect DNA, and then you can count how many individuals there are. And that's really interesting. It's hard work, but it's really interesting. And the result just came now a month ago, 2 months ago. So from 250 individuals in the Virunga Massif and in Burundi, the gorilla population today, the mountain gorilla population, is 1,064 individuals. So that's a really good, positive story when we talk about that. And with that said, I also have to mention that it is dangerous. We just recently heard the news that 16 people got murdered in the Virunga National Park just a few days back, and 13 of those 16 were rangers working at Virunga National Park. So it's very, very sad.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So would you say that's one of the most dangerous project you have ever worked on, or there is other one that surpassed this one?
I was working with together with the WWF Tanzania, World Wildlife Fund Tanzania, and Sweden, and international. And we were in Selous. It's a game reserve in Tanzania. It's one of the last wilderness in Africa. It's amazing. You have you have everything there. It's so beautiful and it's green and it's, you know, it's paradise. But the poaching there is really industrial proportions. So in the beginning, in the beginning of 1970s, you had like 170,000 elephants roaming in this area. 2009, the number was down to 70,000, and 2015, when the survey was, they counted 15,000 elephants in that area. So that just went down. So what I was there to document, together with my mentor, Dr. Alan Carlson, was to tranquilize elephants, important elephants, and you attached a satellite collar on them, so you can monitor them, you know, 24/7, and study their moving pattern. And you go in there and you defend elephants from poachers, and that resulted in the first year that the poaching went down from 10,000 individuals to 200 individuals. So that's also a negative trend that it changed to a positive trend. And when we did that, that was the most dangerous mission or assignment I've ever been to, because we were searching for elephants by foot, and you went down in the bushes and everything, and you know, you didn't know if there was lions there or hippos or buffaloes. And we had this guy with the rifle, the vet, with a tranquilizing rifle, and the security distance from an elephant is 40 meters. I don't know how much that is in feet, but it's 40 meters because they run really, really fast. You can't outrun an elephant. But because of that really weak rifle, we had to go 25 meters from an elephant, so the needle could penetrate the skin, because the skin is really hard. And as soon as you shoot an elephant in the leg, they turn to where the direction they heard the shot, and they start to run towards you. And that happened a few times. So I never ran so much in my whole life as I ran on that assignment, and I got really fit in there, you know. But it was totally crazy. It was, yeah, it's crazy. And one thing now, I also have to mention this as a quick little, just before Christmas now, I went with the Dr. Todd Steiner. He's the CEO of the turtle restoration, what do you call it? Sea Turtle Restoration Network. Mm-hmm. And on this shark expedition to Cocos Island in Costa Rica, to tag sharks, to be able to study their moving pattern, because you know, the illegal fishing kill about 75 to 100 million sharks annually, and sharks are one of the most important apex predator we have as balance keepers in the ocean. They're like kings and queens of the ocean. And Galapagos and Cocos Island are like, you know, paradise for sharks. Cocos Island is a marine protected area, and 12 nautical miles outside, you're not allowed to fish. Shark do migrate. So what we were doing was to take shark, and Todd are sitting down with the government of Ecuador and Costa Rica now to try to create a swim way between Galapagos and Cocos Island as a marine protected area for migrating bigger animals. And sharks, you had tiger sharks, hammerheads, you had Galapagos sharks, silky sharks, you had them all there. And every morning before we went out diving, we actually went out to try to catch sharks from a boat. And then you put a lot of blood in, you shun the water, and you put a lot of bait in. And when you get a shark, you take it into the side of the boat and you secure it there. And then you take a skin sample, you take blood sample, and you take you attach a satellite tag on them. And in the morning, with blood in water, I actually went in the water to film that from underneath. And that was also, I've never done that before. I've been diving with sharks many times before, but never when you're swimming the water. So I was a little nervous. I looked behind me all the time, because you don't know if they can come or not. But I'm still here, and the sharks, I love them, and yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah.
And I know you've worked alongside and friended with many, many important and highly respected change makers globally, such as Sir David Attenborough and Dr. Sylvia Earle. Who would you say to have been the most important mentor and influencers of your work?
I'm going to be 100% honest with that. I say Sylvia Earle. When I saw her award-winning TED Talk 2009, I fell in love with what she said, and I almost fell in love with her as well. And it's so fun and it's so exciting with life, because you never know what will happen in the future. I made a film about ghost nets. That was my first full documentary film about lost fishing tools in the Baltic Sea. And that was a problem no one knew anything about before, except for fishermen maybe and so on. But the general public didn't have a clue. And we made that film, and that film took off, and it ended up at the Blue Ocean Film Festival in Monterey in California. And Sylvia Earle was in the jury, and she gave that film a honor mention because it was so, it was it's a good film in the way that it gives you information about the problem. And after that, I also became a partner with Mission Blue. I got contacted, and that was 2012 or 13 or something. She's been actually an inspiration in the way I work. But then I have to say that, as I said before, now when I am out on location, I meet all these people that actually no one know anything about. They are my inspiration. Those people that actually go, the rangers in the Virungas, or all those people that actually go out there, that they inspire me a lot.
Wow. So now, given the circumstances that we're in right now, I mean, everyone is pretty much confined in their home because of the pandemic. I'm just curious, what are you working on right now? Are you working on anything currently, and are you planning anything for your next project?
Yes, a lot. That's the only, that's the only thing you can do. No, I do a lot of things like we're doing now, interviews, and I have this ongoing project as well. I had that as a dream for a long time, and that was to document and film the most beautiful part of the Nordic countries. So Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Iceland. And I wanted to do that in a kind of a different way than just make a documentary film. So I got the opportunity to pitch this idea for the board of the Swedish National Symphonic Orchestra, and they're based in Gothenburg, where I live. And my idea from the beginning was to travel around, film the most beautiful parts of the Nordic countries, but also what we're facing, the threats we're facing, and what we need to do to actually not reach those threats. Take different paths. Next year, when Gothenburg celebrates 400 years, it has to be finished. Now, when we was recently up in northern Norway, and I was diving with the orcas, and when I filmed those orcas, they swim over me, they will be projected in the ceiling, and we're going to use the whole room as a projection. We have glaciers, and we have ice, and we have oceans, and we have everything. It's going to be super exciting, and it's also 5 different composers writing original music for this piece. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be huge. And as it looks, also they're going on tour to America, to the US, San Francisco, somewhere in between, and New York.
Wow.
So that's going to be really, yeah, it's going to be fun.
So you get to use your knowledge for this music part that you've studied, and then now with your conservation work, you could get to mesh them all together. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it is, because when you mix into art forms can be really exciting, and I have not so much to do with the music, maybe the expression, that I understand the expression, but it's exciting and tricky, and we're not going to fly a single mile on this project, and that is a logistic nightmare. We sailed from Bergen all the way up to Tromsø. That's 1,200 nautical miles, and that took like 1 week. And we had storms, and it was middle of November. It was dark. It was nightmare. And when I came up to Tromsø to start actually film orcas, I was totally exhausted. But we managed to get some good footage.
Oh, we look forward to see your footage. That will be really awesome to be able to see them. What do you hope people take away from the photos and the films that you made?
That is a good question. I think I want my photos to touch people's heart and mind, and maybe consider to change attitudes towards whatever it can be. For example, last summer I was down in Sumatra in Indonesia for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, and I have a team there that I've been working with for several years, Indonesian people. They're really professional, really good. I love them. They're like my family. And we've been working with the palm oil situation down there, because that's the biggest threat to the biodiversity on Sumatra and in Indonesia in general, I would say. And those people they are heroes as well. They are, hardcore, hands-on, out there, dirt under the nails, and they keep on doing it. And you meet so much sadness, and you see so much horrible things as well. I did a portrait of a female orangutan called Hope. When they found her, she was shot 74 times with an air rifle. So she was blind, and I took photos of her X-ray, and she had bullets covered all parts of her body. And when they found her, she still had her dead little baby hanging on her. And this is so sad, because she was found in the palm oil plant. People working on it, but they don't like orangutans, so they kill them or take them to wildlife trafficking or wildlife trade, illegal. And it's all about consequences. And I can feel that if we don't, in the West, if we didn't demand palm oil, would that happen to her? And there are thousands of hopes in Sumatra, but these people are really also, they're working, and they are, I respect them so much, and that's a hard one to actually change. But if you can change people's attitude not to buy palm oil, for example, it's not good for you, it's not good for your body, and it's totally 100% destructive for nature. And there's no such thing as sustainable palm oil, even if you can read it on labels and on things you buy. So yeah, that's an example of how you can change people's attitudes to try to work towards a more sustainable and more good future for every one of us. We have forests forests, and in the rainforest on Sumatra and in Indonesia is the oldest on the planet, and we don't know what secrets that forest are keeping. It can be like cure for cancer, or I don't know, Alzheimer's or whatever. We don't know that, but they just cut it down, and they plant these palm trees that produce palm oil, and it's like a green desert. It's a monoculture. Nothing can live there. It's so sad. It's also we know the forests are really good carbon sinkholes as well, and take the carbon down and change it into oxygen so we can breathe, and still we're just cutting it out all over the world. And we can't really keep doing that anymore. We need to actually make people understand that we have to change that for our own sake, for our own survival. Yeah, I think that many of people that don't care is because they don't know. It's all about information and knowledge. And if you can spread that, then it's your own responsibility to look for knowledge as well, and look for information. And we provide it. It's just listen and, and take it in, and you can put it aside if you're not interested, but try to, do something. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense to me, and I'm sure it will make sense to a lot of viewers today. Yeah, so that's all the question I have for you, actually, and I want to thank you, Joakim, so much again for joining us today and share with us your experience and journey as a conservation photographer and underwater filmmaker, and truly a guardian of our planet.
Yeah, now, thank you so much for having me.
And if you want to learn more about Mr. Joakim Odelberg's conservation work and where he's heading next, please follow him on social media at Joakim Odelberg. You can find it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you also have a YouTube channel, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're inspired by Mr. Joakim Odelberg's passion for wildlife and ocean conservation and want to help make our planet healthier and more sustainable, I would like to invite you to join me in becoming a neighborhood scientist, or more commonly known as citizen scientist. You don't need to have a science degree to be a neighborhood or citizen scientist. You just need to be curious about the world around you. As a neighborhood or citizen scientist, you are participating in real science projects to help accelerate research and track some of our planet's most pressing environmental issues. And you can start today with a new NASA citizen science project called NemoNet. NemoNet is actually an iPad game. As a player of this game, you and I will be going on a virtual expedition with NASA and Dr. Sylvia Earle of Mission Blue to help classify coral reefs around the world, just like Joakim. By following the instructions to classify different types of coral, you're not only learning about coral reefs, but actually collaborating with real conservationists and NASA scientists and researchers, and contributing to a real coral reef preservation project without leaving your home. To learn more about NemoNet, you can visit the website nemonet.info for more detail. That was where I found out the Nemo in NemoNet has nothing to do with one of my favorite all-time animated film, Finding Nemo. It's an acronym for neural multimodal observation. And just so you know, this is not the only citizen science project out there. If you're interested in other types of neighborhood or citizen science project, you can visit Los Angeles Public Library's neighborhood science page. You will find links to online citizen science communities such as SciStarter that would take you to thousands of fun and easy to do citizen science or neighborhood science project you can do at home or near your home with just your smart device and the internet. You can even contribute to COVID-19 research by helping the scientists and researchers track the spread of the virus and help finding effective treatments. If you like the program today, please let us know by completing a survey. Here's a link to the survey. You can also find a link to the survey in the post where this video is attached to. Now, I would like to end the program with a special footage from Sir David Attenborough to Joakim Odelberg on describing a very interesting species. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Now, what's this? Oh, it seems we've got ourselves a marine mammal. Obviously, not an orca. This species is often found way down in the black abyss of our oceans. Animals like penguins, so well adapted to a life in water, are quite handicapped on land. but this specimen is surprisingly well adapted in both worlds, moving around like an antelope in the grassland.